It is the oldest of the major tournaments on the PBA Tour, and also its most demanding, the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. Last year, Mike Scroggins rose to the Open Challenge, beating Chris Barnes in dramatic fashion, and then taking care of Hall of Famer Norm Duke. And now Scroggy is back as this year's top seed, one game away from becoming only the second person in U.S. Open history to successfully defend his title. Can Mike Scroggins get it done? Find out with us as the 67th Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open rolls away now. For the fourth time, Woodland Bowl here in Indianapolis, Indiana hosts the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. The most prestigious tournament on the PBA Tour began with 352 entrants. Late last night, the field was whittled to our Final Four. Defending U.S. Open champion Mike Scroggins beat Bill O'Neill in the position round to move up to the #1 seed spot, but it's O'Neill who could be on top of the Player of the Year standings list at day's end. 4 years ago, our 3-seed Tommy Jones won this event, and Jason Couch made the TV show by jumping from 7th to 4th in last night's position round. And glad you're with us this afternoon. Rob Stone once again joined by Randy Peterson. To defend any title on the PBA Tour is an epic adventure. It's only been done 8 times in the last decade, but to defend the U.S. Open crown, the most demanding, most respected, most revered tournament on the tour, that's borderline unheard of. It's only been done once, and yet here we are, the captain of the all-anonymous team. Mike Scroggins has a chance to do just that today, Randy.
Yeah, the unassuming Mike Scroggins. And, you know, Rob, it wasn't too long ago, we were calling him the Rodney Dangerfield of this tour. You know, he's not real flashy. He doesn't throw the real big hook ball, and you're never going to see Mike Scroggins singing karaoke after bowling in the bar. But ever since he won his first major in 2005, he's been an absolute cash cow. He can no longer fly underneath the radar. In fact, you really need to start considering this guy as one of the elite players out here. And Rob, with a win today, he can write his own ticket for the Hall of Fame.
The only other guy on today's telecast to have won a U.S. Open title is Tommy Jones, the guy who's kind of the polar opposite to Mike Scroggins.
Oh, absolutely. Tommy Jones, real flashy, throws the big hook ball, Mr. Personality. But since the 05-06 season when he won Player of the Year honors and won his first U.S. Open title, it's been a bit of a struggle for TJ. This week he's been reunited with his old ball rep and his swing coach. Tommy Jones looking to get back to the top of the mountain out here on the PBA Tour. And Rob, FYI, Tommy Jones still has the highest winning percentage on television.
Yeah, he's won 75% of his televised matches, a win today, and he gets his 3rd major. Take a look at our stepladder format, and Tommy Jones as your 3-seed will start us off in a match versus Jason Couch. The winner will essentially be in your semifinals to take on Bill O'Neill in match number 2. There's Mike Scroggins waiting for everybody in his #1 seed spot. Time now for the intros for match number 1.
Time winner on tour, including 4 majors, ranked the 24th greatest player in PBA history from Claremont, Florida. Please welcome Jason Couch.
The last time a #4 seed or lower won the U.S. Open, have to go back to 1991. Pete Weber did it right here in Indianapolis.
Block it out. Let's go.
And Jason Couch, a lot of success in this building, Rob.
He has 12 lifetime PBA Tour titles with 2 majors, a 2006 U.S. Open champion from Simpsonville, South Carolina. Please welcome Tommy Jones.
Randy, you mentioned the success Tommy has had on television, but you have to go back to March of '08 for the last time he actually won on television, and he did it, winning the Geico Classic out on Long Island. Jones matches Couch in the first. I mentioned at the outset, 352 bowlers started this earlier this week. Kept getting reduced and reduced and reduced till late last night, sometime after 10 o'clock, when our 4 finalists were finally confirmed. An issue on the, is that the right lane? It is. We have some,
that is the right lane.
We have some spillage. Need to clean it up. Looks like one of those pins is jammed underneath.
Time for a really good mechanic, Rob.
Do you know one?
I think they have a few here. Well, this is the last thing you want as a player.
Well, at least it's happening early. Break in the action, and we'll take a break with them. 1 frame down, both Couch and Jones with strikes. We'll be back with more coverage of the U.S. Open when we return.
Sure.
We welcome you back to the 32nd PBA tournament event held here in Indianapolis, and the 27th here at Woodland Bowl. It is the 67th Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. Usually we take a break after 5.5 frames of action. We checked out after 1 frame due to a issue down lane. So we will be with you for the entirety now of match number 1 between Jason Couch and Tommy Jones. This to begin frame number 2. An energetic Jones, perfect through 2.
Been a tough season for Tommy Jones, with the exception of the second half. He said he's bowled really well, but no TV shows to show for it. A 5th at the Earl Anthony Memorial Classic, an 8th and a 7th. 3 really good tournaments in a row.
He made the first show of the season, the Motor City Open, finishing 5th, losing to Bill O'Neill, who's your 2 seed today. Couch leaves the 7. That is a rather large break.
Yeah, and one of the secrets or keys to success at the U.S. Open is avoiding open frames. And that's the last thing you want to see when the ball does hit the pocket, is leaving a pocket 710.
So Couch remains clean. Time now for our Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood segment, and things always challenging here at the U.S. Open, Randy.
Well, you're right, Rob. 40 feet of flat, nasty, unforgiving oil. 1-to-1 ratio. It doesn't get any flatter. So what happens when there's equal oil all the way across the lane, it actually makes the lanes play inverted. More hook in the middle and less outside. It puts a huge emphasis on shot making, and you have to stay patient at the U.S. Open.
Couch in the 3rd. And Messenger avoids the 7.
I'll tell you what, though, this week they put a little bit more head oil out, and it softened them up just a bit at this year's U.S. Open, and allowed the players to get to the pocket a little bit more frequently. However, there was an issue with pin carry this week. And Jason doing a really good job of keeping the ball and the pocket in front of him. He had a lot of trouble with the approaches early on in practice. A lot of sticking going on, and that doesn't bode well for a man who's trying to come back from knee surgery.
So up now, 31-year-old Tommy Jones. Only 5 bowlers have won multiple U.S. Open titles. Mike Scroggins and Tommy Jones have that opportunity to join that elite field today.
Hey, Tommy Jones, Randy Peterson here. How's the oil pattern looking out there, and how tough are the lanes?
Ray, they're a little hard. You know, we didn't use these pairs during match play this week, so, you know, trying to get used to not only the lanes, but the approaches are a little different up here because setting up the set and everything. But so far, Jason and I seem to have a pretty good look. hit in the pocket. So we'll just see if we continue to make good shots here.
Thanks, Tommy.
For Jones, this is his third top 5 finish of the season. No wins. Again, his last victory coming late March in 2008.
How about an opening ham bone here at the U.S. Open? Now Couch has some work to do as he steps up in the bottom of the 4th.
Tommy Jones doing a great job of doing exactly what you have to do at the U.S. Open. Make great shots. Don't give the pocket away. Keep the ball online. And he is perfect through 4 frames.
Couch back on the strike train. And Jason, after those spares in the 2nd and the 3rd, what adjustments did you have to make?
Well, obviously my ball's coming in a little light, and apparently Tommy thinks it's league. I didn't expect a 4-bagger at me, but it's early.
You made Randy laugh with the league comment. We appreciate it, Jason.
No problem.
That's really good. I mean, this is by far anything from Bowling League.
So Couch, strike, 9-spare, 9-spare, strike. We begin the 5th. Heavy.
Well,
Leads to 4-7.
That's the first ball out of the pocket. Unfortunately for Jason, he has 2 taps in between 2 strikes. And this is the U.S. Open in a nutshell. Get it inside of target. You have no chance of holding line. Jason only leaving the 4-7.
Couch was 2nd at the 1999 U.S. Open, his only other televised U.S. Open appearance until today. Here is Jones, perfect through 4. 12 Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour titles on his resume. There you see his career TV finals winning percentage. Has won 2 majors, the 06 U.S. Open and the 07 TOC.
Drops the Yahtzee.
Tommy Jones knows what it takes to win a U.S. Open. The grind, the games, the oil pattern, but the mental toughness that goes along with it. You have to have the whole package. And I think one thing that's very evident on today's telecast, all 4 players have that. There are no gimmies. Nobody lucked out in making this telecast.
An opening 6-pack for TJ.
Man, when was the last time we saw the front 6? The opening match of a U.S. Open. Tommy found a way to get to the pocket through practice, really liked his look, had a good decision in terms of what equipment he was going to throw, and now he's just executing.
So Jones perfect through 6. Couch down 51. Jason telling us last night about the mental grind here at the U.S. Open. No guy lucks into the U.S. Open show. You know, 250s are going to be tough, but you can't shoot 150. Jason having a tough time of it here.
Not on this lane, Chief.
And match number 1.
Not on this lane.
Again, just a little bit wide of target now, and Jason pays the price, leaving the 3-7.
It was a drama-filled Saturday evening for Jason Couch. The position round match, he was in 7th place. A couple lanes away, Walter A. Williams Jr. and Norm Duke were battling, and Couch was done, and he had made a move. whiffs on this one. Made a move, but wasn't in position. He needed, as Walter Ray Williams Jr., all he needed was 2 strikes and then 7 pins in the 10th. Walter Ray got the 2 strikes. Crowd erupted. Jason started packing his bags. Walter Ray dropped 6 and not 7, which means he tied Norm Duke, which means he did not get the 30-pin bonus, which means he did not jump over Jason Couch, which meant Couch went from 7th to 4th. Couch telling us I had to do the math about 3 times before I could finally release and celebrate. There may not be any celebrating today for Jason Couch.
Well, it's a tough go, too. Jason just the 1 open frame, but his opponent's got the front 6. Tough to catch up on this oil pattern.
Gets the spare in the 7th. Head on over to PBA.com right now, and you can submit your More of What Matters to You fan question of the day, which is sponsored by One A Day, and it can be directed to any one of our finalists. And if selected, your name and question will be read live and answered during today's telecast. Just again, head on over to PBA.com, click on the One A Day logo. The lead is 65 pins for your 3-seed Tommy Jones, looking to be perfect through 7.
You know, Rob, it's funny. I was just going to say there's never been a 300-game bowled on television at the U.S. Open.
Just the fact you thought about it is enough to jinx him.
Yeah, I know. Just another great shot. Tommy Jones is just off to a spectacular start, doing exactly what has to be done at a U.S. Open.
Tommy looks like he's stuck right there and a little bit of pain. Tommy, what just happened?
I about went down, about came to see you guys with my feet. It's a little slippery over there, and don't know if you're going to stick or slip, and that time was definitely a slip.
And if you don't know if you're going to stick or slip, what goes through your mind?
Not good thoughts.
Master of the obvious.
There you go, Rob. You asked.
That's right. He'll tell me. So the first spare of the game for Jones comes in the 7th frame. He begins the 8th now with a 64-pin lead. Back on the strike train.
Tommy Jones consistently around the 9th, 10th board down the lane. Check out that great hand position at the bottom. 13th, 14th board out to about the 9th or 10th board. Again, fairly direct for a guy that has a lot of revs and a lot of power.
TJ in control as he sits down here. Couch to roll here in the 8th. Again, leaves the 7th.
And Rob, Jason wanted to give a shout out to Dave Kramer, who passed away a week ago. He was like a second father. Dave's a business owner, or was a business owner in Claremont, Florida. Good buddies. In fact, Jason's best friends with his son. So we want to send well wishes out to the Kramer family.
Just 2 strikes for Couch here in match number 1 at the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open.
Jason unable to bowl the Masters, which was our last major prior to this event, because
Kira Kathleen was born February 6th, the 4th daughter for Jason Couch. 4 daughters. I feel his pain.
His poor wife, Kim. There you go. Nice shot, Jason. Funny, when I saw Kim in Detroit earlier this year, I asked her, I said, so do you know what you're going to have? And she looked at me.
One for the good guys.
Kind of crossed one eye and said,
What do you think?
What do you think it's going to be, Randy? A girl.
Should be a fun household when they hit their teenage years.
Oh, man.
remind me not to visit that house. There's Tommy's wife, Kristen, and 4-year-old daughter, Ella, in attendance. They're going to be driving back to Simpsonville, South Carolina tonight after this match because little Ella, not a big fan of the flying, as he was telling us last night.
Yeah, she's had some bad experiences flying. I guess turbulence and Ella don't go well together.
No, I don't know who it goes well with.
Between those two shots, the 10 pins and the 4 pins.
So Tommy will drive back tonight and then fly out to Columbus, Ohio Tuesday. And Columbus is our next stop on the PBA Tour, the Atonic Don Johnson Eliminator. Leaves the 10 in the tent, but this one in the books for TJ, and he will move on to our second match to take on the number 2 seed,
Tape real
Bill
quick.
O'Neill.
Strodes, tape real quick.
Well, I tell you, Tommy Jones is making it look pretty easy. He's hit the pocket every shot, and he's going to bowl a big 240 game, which is hard to beat on this oil pattern at the United States Open. I mean, that's a big, big game. Usually 220s are good enough to win. As Tommy goes to some tapes, taping up, make sure he's got a nice, secure feel. Hey, and how about giving some upstart statistician Mike Edwards for finishing 9th this week, huh?
I was hanging out with Mike yesterday. I think I annoyed him at one point as he laughs. I was trying to have a brief conversation between frames with him. Very brief, mind you. Mike's like, I can't talk right now. I still got a chance. I'm like, I understand. Good week this week, Mike. So this to close out match 1 for Tommy Jones. Not the way he wants to conclude it, but the main point is he moves on.
That was a ball change. He's testing the waters, Rob. That's what U.S. Open champions, that's what they do. They've got that experience.
And when we return, an extreme swing preview is unleashed, and we'll flash back to an April Fool's Day win that was no joke. This is the PBA Live on ESPN. We flash back to April 1st, 1989 in Edmond, Oklahoma, where Indy native Mike Albee wins what would turn out to be his only U.S. Open title, and Albee remains the only player to have completed bowling's career Super Slam.
For Mike Albee, his 17th PBA title. Congratulations.
And we welcome you back live to Indianapolis. Tommy Jones moves on courtesy of a 245-192 victory over Jason Couch. Up next for him, Bill O'Neill. And following today's U.S. Open, there remains just 4 more events on this season's PBA Tour, and those 4 events comprise the Extreme Swing. Each of these 4 events debuted last season, and each event features its own unique format. Next week in Columbus, Ohio, it's the Atonic Don Johnson Eliminator. On the show, the final 4 will all bowl 1 game at the same time. The low score eliminated. The process repeats until only 1 bowler remains as the winner. Last year, that was Chris Barnes. Then after a week off, we're in Norwich, Connecticut, the Go RV Match Play Championship. Take the top 64 PBA players into a bracket, and they will participate in a head-to-head best-of-7 match series. Once the event is down to the final 2 players, they will square off in a 3-game total pinfall match. The next to last event, the Geico Mark Ross Plastic Ball Championship. All the competitors will use PBA-approved plastic balls. Last season, Jeff Carter beat Pete Weber in the title match to earn his first career title. And the tour concludes the season with the grueling Lumber Liquidators Marathon Open in Baltimore. 53 games of qualifying on 7 different oil patterns. The tournament leader, after all these games of qualifying, gets rewarded as he will choose the oil pattern for the TV Finals, which was won last year by the Big Nasty Wes Malott. But we're not done here yet in Indianapolis. Match number 2, the de facto semifinal tilt between number 2 seed Bill O'Neill and Tommy Jones, when ESPN's coverage of the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open returns to Indianapolis. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, glad you're back here with us for ESPN's coverage of the 67th edition of the Lumber Liquidators
U.S. Open. Everybody talks about how challenging the oil pattern, how challenging this format is every year at the U.S. Open. Well, we sent Randy out onto the wood to tell us exactly why today's conditions are so demanding.
Let's talk about how the players will be attacking this very difficult U.S. Open oil pattern. Now, even though there's 39 boards on a lane, I only want you to concern yourself with two, and that's these two dark boards. And they just so happen to be at the second arrow on both sides of the lane. The right-handers will be using this dark board. The left-handers will be using this dark board. This is going to be their break point, and it's crucial that they hit this dark board in order to give them the best chance of getting their bowling balls to the pocket. Why these two dark boards, you ask? Because this is the worn area that's created by your everyday bowling and league bowlers. Remember, the bowlers are always trying to find friction to get their bowling balls to curve. Anything too far left or right of these dark boards could spell disaster at this year's U.S. Open.
I love the earth tones on you today, by the way. You look great. So help me out here. Why does the worn area offer more friction?
Well, the worn area is built in from all of the open play, all of the league bowling, and it's worn into the lane surface. No matter how much oil you put out there, unless you purposely put more oil in the track area, it's actually going to hook more than any other part of the lane if the oil is distributed evenly across the lane, which it is this week.
Here's Jones to start off match number 2. Right at the target.
2-8-10.
It leaves the 2-8-10.
And very interesting, Tommy Jones never missed the pocket in the first match, changes bowling balls, goes to a different ball for this game, and then check out the down lane reaction. He misses wide of that target, and he leaves the 2-8-10.
And leaves an open frame in the first.
The 2005-6 PBA Rookie of the Year won his first title at the World Series of Bowling's Chameleon Championship. From Southampton, PA, please welcome Bill O'Neill.
Just one Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour title, and it came this season when he won the Chameleon Championship. Beat Indy native Ronnie Russell in the title game, 205-192. He goes heavy, but doesn't get punished.
Hey, Rob, let me just say this. That dark board, if the players throw it perfectly, meaning the right velocity with the right amount of rotation, they can then create a little room left and right of that dark board, but only when the ball is thrown perfectly. Remember, that target is 40 feet from them when they let go of it.
Well, Bill O'Neill did not start this tournament strong. 185th after the first block. He bowled 2 150s during that, and that was on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, he averaged about 250 and shot up to 13th, and then he just continued his climb up the leaderboard from 5th to 3rd to 2nd, which is where he starts today. Way right.
1-2.
Good shot.
You know, Tommy Jones did such a good job of keeping the ball in that zone and keeping it very, very close to that 10th board. Watch this. Well, Rob, we have Cat's numbers this week, the computer-aided tracking system brought to us by the Kegel Training Center. And again, the numbers don't lie. His ball position down the lane at about 39 feet was around the 6th board, and that's no man's land. A lot of times we see that happening when a player does miss right. The tendency is to overcompensate with the very next shot, and that's exactly what Tommy Jones does. He pulls it left and goes right through the nose. The good news is he avoids the split.
Tommy, what has changed on the lanes from match 1 to now?
They just carried down a little bit, so the other ball was getting a little starting a little soon, so trying to get another ball to roll through them. So just transition from the lights and carrying down extra shots.
So Jones and O'Neill, both of them having to really figure out these lanes early on.
I mean, I think that's one of the most amazing things in our sport is you see a guy that had no trouble hitting the pocket the first match, and all of a sudden, within a matter of shots throughout practice when we went to commercial, that shot goes away. He's forced to use another ball.
That one through the nose.
No way.
And there's a very confident 245 in match number 1 in the victory over Jason Couch. Again, remember, he opened up with a 6-bagger. And now Jones still seeking his first strike.
And trying to avoid his second open frame in 3 frames. Now, I promise you right now, he's second-guessing the ball choice that he just made.
He's left the 310. Needs to convert this to avoid his second open frame of this semifinal. And he doesn't do it. And Bill O'Neill, who's never won a major, has an early opening and an early 22-pin lead, and that's just off of back-to-back spares. So no strikes yet in match number 2. Strike with match number 2, and here's Billy O on his take on the lanes here at the U.S. Open.
The U.S. Open pattern is definitely the hardest pattern on tour. It's very flat, which means if you get it a little bit left, it goes high, you get it right, it doesn't hook back. And pair-to-pair is really tricky because there's so many different styles. So if you're not on top of your game mentally and physically, you have no chance.
O'Neill, a 4-time first-team All-American at Saginaw Valley State University.
It's a pretty good explanation of a U.S. Open.
Back-to-back jacks for O'Neill, but we talk about these changing lane conditions. Of our 3 remaining bowlers, who do you think this favors the most? Is it the lone lefty, Mike Scroggins, Tommy Jones, who has a moderate amount of experience, or kind of a youngster in Bill O'Neill?
Well, I don't think it favors Tommy Jones because he's lost right now with 2 out of 3 frames that he didn't fill. Bill O'Neill just caught a double. He's starting to feel comfortable. He knows that all he has to do is make good shots. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of ball reaction Mike Scroggins has.
Jones through the nose.
And this is the crazy thing about a U.S. Open. It happens in match play. It happens in qualifying, game to game. You think you've got it, and just when you think you got it, the lanes change just enough to where you can't hit the pocket. That's exactly what Tommy Jones is going through right now. Once he loses pocket, he's indecisive about what ball to throw. It makes it that much more difficult to throw good shots.
This is no time and no place for second guessing. Great look at the spare conversion from TJ. So Jones, open frame, spare, open frame, spare. Down 32 through 4. O'Neill working on a double when he comes up in the 5th. Time for TJ to string something together if he wants to make a play in this one. There you go.
And Tommy moved just a little bit farther in and then went with a little loft to hold the ball on line.
.28-year-old Bill O'Neill entered the week tied for 2nd in the Player of the Year race with Chris Barnes.
That could have been disastrous. 4-7-10 split, staring at him briefly, but only leaving the 4-pin. You know, Rob, the other thing that I love about the U.S. Open is the history, and you look back at some of the names that have won this multiple times. Marshall Holman, Del Ballard Jr., David Husted won it 3 times, and like you said earlier, the only player to ever successfully defend the U.S. Open when it changed from the BPA All-Stars back in 1971. Pete Weber won 4 times, Dick Weber won 4 times, Don Carter won 4 times. Just huge, huge names.
Dave Husted winning it back-to-back in 95-96. Here's the Player of the Year standings entering this week. Should Bill O'Neill win the title today, he would move up to number 1. Walter Ray earned 2 points with his 5th place finish last night, so he now has 52. But if O'Neill is to win, he would go on top with 56 with just 4 tournaments left.
Oh, boy.
Confidence lacking in match number 2 for both of our competitors, even though O'Neill's up 30.
Oof. And again, this is all part of being patient in this event. Tough enough to get to the pocket, and then when you don't carry, you know, you just got to take your medicine and continue to try to make really good quality shots. And missing single pin spares on television at the U.S. Open, well, you just can't do it.
Can't have it. When we return, one of the many reasons Bill O'Neill is happy to be bowling today. Hint, he's avoiding a possible Seinfeld episode incident. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
It's a good one.
Welcome back, everybody, to Indianapolis and the 67th U.S. Open. Let's take a little catch replay look here at what Tommy Jones has done his last couple of frames. Here in the 4th frame, you're going to see that bowling ball right around the 3rd arrow. Notice a real tight line. Unfortunately, the result is not what Tommy's looking for. So what adjustment does he make in the next frame? Watch this. He's going to get a little air time underneath that bowling ball, still right around that 3rd arrow, but because he went with loft and more speed, the ball is able to hold line and hit the pocket.
We talked to Tommy during that commercial break, and he told us he's going to change back to that ball he had success with in game number 1, try and get his way back into it. He said it's not the 100% right ball for right now. He's kind of in between ideal balls that he would want.
Tough spot to be in.
To make it tougher, he's down 30 as we close out the 6th. Trying to string some strikes together. Right through the nose.
Oh, Tommy. Let it go to the right a little bit. 210s one time, you shut everyone down.
You know, when you're watching this at home, you're probably wondering, well, why doesn't Tommy give it more room to the right? Why is he going so direct? Why doesn't he give it more room to the right? Well, because if he gives it too much room to the right, he'll miss the head pin. Oh. 0 for 2 on the 310 in this match, and now trailing by 42. It's a real fine line, Rob, when mentally you know that in order to miss your target a board to the right, you have to throw it absolutely perfect. So right at the moment of truth, right at release, you start pinching it just a little bit, and when you pinch it on the U.S. Open pattern, you go through the nose. Tommy Jones cannot find the pocket. Everything he's tried has not worked. This shot here, he does give it some room to the right. Almost leaves the 210 split.
Such a promising first match for Tommy Jones.
Boy, it looked like nobody would beat him.
Dropped to 245, dropped the opening 6 racks, and then issues. So here's Bill O'Neill up 42, bottom of the 7th. Well, we talked about going to break, why Bill is happy that he's here. And we'll get to that after we remind you to head on over to PBA.com. The one a day, more of what matters to you question of the day, and it is going to be directed to Randy, or even if you're really desperate, can't come up with a good question, you can direct it to me. Follow the one a day link and send us your question of the day to Randy.
nice shot there. Now, I want to know more about this Bill O'Neill story.
All right, so he's getting married in May. His lovely fiancée, Christy, is back home, and he had some downtime. We asked him, hey, how's the wedding planning going? He said, you know, it's just about all done, but I'm happy I'm here bowling this week. Well, why is that, Bill? Christy's back home writing invites and stuffing envelopes right now. So it just triggered the whole episode, Costanza's fiancé licking the envelopes, passing away. You don't want any part of that. We don't want that for Christy. Hopefully she's got some of that self-stick sealer thing for the envelopes. And speaking of the O'Neill nuptials, it will not be televised live on ESPN.com, by the way, or Extra Frame, but Tommy Jones and Jason Couch both invited to his wedding, or to be invited once the wedding invitations are actually finally mailed out. Have we had enough wedding talk? Are you done, Randy? Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's...
Even I'm ready to move on. And O'Neill looks like he'll be moving on as well.
Yeah, because the best Tommy Jones could shoot is 194. Bill already in the 2 teens. He would just have to fill a mark in either the 9th or 10th frame. Well, he just lost his ball reaction, went to a different ball, tried something different. Nothing worked, nothing consistent, and then he made bad shots.
Mike Scroggins, your #1 seed, your defending U.S. Open champ, waiting in the wings. He's a lefty. What is he thinking in your eyes right now?
I think it's the same thing, the same thought process that he's had the entire week, which is he has to go out and execute his game plan. And by that, I mean he has to go out and make really good shots. He will be able to find something to get his ball to the pocket. It's not going to be, or it will be uninterrupted because he's the only left-hander left. 5. And it's going to be the same game plan. Get up, make good shots, keep my target in front of me, fill frames, avoid the big splits, make my spares. And then basically just try to outstrike Bill O'Neill. If he can do that, he will win and defend successfully. But he must throw it as good as he's ever thrown it. He can't come out here and start whiffing the head pin and throwing washouts and going through the nose and big 4 splits. And if he does that, he's going to lose to this man right here.
O'Neill's best finish at a major, 3rd at the 2009 PBA World Championship, was 13th here at the U.S. Open in 2008 as a pro, but in 2005 as an amateur, he finished 6th in New Jersey. And this is the single pin spare there. It will not hurt him as Mike Scroggins, your #1 seed, your defending champ, gets set backstage.
And when you're Mike Scroggins coming on, you like seeing these low scores.
You think? Right?
I mean, he's like, hey, this isn't a shootout. Thank God I don't have to go out there and try to bowl 240 or 50.
I believe the term you use is drool bucket.
He's liking it.
Yes, he is. So Bill O'Neill moves on. On the backside, we get you prepped for today's final and our one-a-day fan question of the day. This is the PBA Live on ESPN. And head on over to PBA.com. Check out Extra Frame, the PBA's online video subscription service. It features hours of live competition from PBA events that you can't see anywhere else. You also have exclusive interviews, archived ESPN telecast, and the new 39x60 highlight show. All that for just $7.99 a month. Head on over to PBA.com to sign up today. Speaking of PBA.com, we're going to have our one-a-day fan question of the day coming up here in a moment. Just want to put wraps on match #2, and Bill O'Neill, just 4 strikes, but he is victorious, 203-152 over Tommy Jones. Andy Peterson back here with you, so it'll be Bill O'Neill, your 2 seed, taking on Mike Scroggins, your #1 seed. Time now for our one-a-day fan question of the day, and essentially it's what we've been talking about all day. What makes the U.S. Open so much more special than all the other tournaments? Why is it so important to win?
It's the one, as a player, you want to win the most because of a number of reasons. The format is brutal, the mental grind, all of the games you have to bowl, competing on such a difficult oil pattern, the money, the exemption that comes with it. But #1, it's the tournament named after our country. It's the one that you want to win. It's the biggest tournament. It's the granddaddy of them all.
So there's your answer. Thank you, Daniel Fargo, for that question. Well handled, Randy. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, so when we check back into Indianapolis, we have a priceless Pete Weber U.S. Open flashback. You probably know what it is, but it's worth watching over and over. Plus, Mike Scroggins versus Will O'Neill for the U.S. Open title.
ABC Sports presents live in its 30th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour. In our first game, 17-time champion Pete Weber of Florissant, Missouri could become the first 3-time winner this year. Pete is on a roll. He has won 3 matches coming to this point, Nelson. See you next week in Windsor Locks, Connecticut.
I mean, you have to laugh, right? I mean, you're laughing right now. That's great. Pete Weber, the only bowler to have won 4 U.S. Open titles, did in 88, 91, 04, and 07. Finished 8th this week, did PDW. Bill O'Neill versus Mike Scroggins. Those two getting set for our title match. Time now for our Geico Championship recap. Randall.
You got it, Rob. Match number 1, Jason Couch taking on Tommy Jones. Jason's only open frame coming in the 6th. Unfortunately for Jason, Tommy Jones started with the front 6 and takes care of Jason Couch 245 to 192. And just when it looked like Tommy Jones was going to run away with his tournament, not so fast, my friend. He ends up missing not 1 but 2 3-10 splits. Bill O'Neill throws only 2 doubles, but manages to beat Tommy Jones 203 to 152.
Randy Peterson, Rob Stone back here with you live from Indianapolis. The #1 seed has lost the last 4 U.S. Open titles. Actually, statistically speaking, you're in better shape if you're Bill O'Neill in the #2 seed spot. The #2 seed makes the U.S. Open final. He has won it 60% of the time. What, in your eyes right now, are going to be the determining factors on who wins?
Well, the nerve factors, as far as Mike Scroggins is concerned, coming on, you know, he's been sitting and waiting in the wings, so to speak. Bill O'Neill's already got 1 game under his belt. He's not feeling the nerves. So how does Mike Scroggins manage his nerves and that nervous energy? The second thing is, what type of ball reaction is Mike Scroggins going to have? He's out on the left side by himself, and it's been the theme throughout this entire tournament that he must manage not only mentally but physically, make the shots required to get his ball to the pocket.
Again, though, O'Neill just 4 strikes in his last match, both of them pairs. But I don't think he's sitting overly confident after that 203-152 victory over Tommy Jones. Bill O'Neill, the 05-06 Rookie of the Year. Mike Scroggins, your reigning U.S. Open champ. Scroggins trying to become only the 2nd ever in PBA history to win back-to-back U.S. Open titles. The title match in its entirety when we return to Indianapolis. And we welcome you back to Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana. The title match of the 67th Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open is on deck. And that is what they will be battling for. Our thanks to Barb Short, the GM here at Woodland Bowl, and Jim Doty, the GM at Royal Pin Leisure Centers. As always, they've been great hosts and hostesses here for us and our crew in Indianapolis. Time now for the title match. Bill O'Neill seeking his first major. O'Neill in his 5th televised appearance of the season. He's finished 3rd twice, 1 title. The Chameleon Championship is only 1 on his resume throughout his 5-year career. So O'Neill starts off the title match with the spare. Up now, your #1 seed, Mike Scroggins.
He has won 7 times on the PBA Tour with 2 majors, the defending champion of the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. From Amarillo, Texas, please welcome Mike Scroggins.
Scroggins started the week 9th in the Player of the Year standings with 20 points.
Should he win today, he will move into a tie for second with Bill O'Neill. O'Neill already guaranteed at a minimum second-place points. All of them chasing Walter Ray Williams Jr. for the Player of the Year list.
Really? Really, Rob? Mike Scroggins doesn't leave solid nines. Well, you couldn't ask for a better opening shot with all the nerves and all the adrenaline that Mike Scroggins is feeling, and he comes out and just pures this shot. There's that dark board again, just to the left of it, which you would figure Mike Scroggins throws a little bit straighter. He's going to be just to the outside of that line, only to leave a solid 9-pin.
Bizarre.
Mike Scroggins using a lot of surface, as you can see. You can see the rings of oil on that bowling ball.
Scroggins started Saturday in 6th place, was only 19 pins out of first, and leapfrogged O'Neill in the position round match last night. Scroggins was second, O'Neill was first. Scroggins won, jumped over O'Neill. So here's Scroggins, your 1 seed and your defending champion. Again, only one other person has won back-to-back U.S. Open titles. Dave Husted in '95 in Detroit and '96 right here in Indianapolis. And there's the first strike of our title match, and it goes to Scroggy. We were talking about how challenging the U.S. Open is for everybody, and Scroggins last night telling us the toughest part in his eyes of the U.S. Open, bowling qualifying. He says, and I love this, it's a circus out there. Amateurs, regional guys, everybody out there, just a ton of bodies, and everybody trying to figure out the proper protocol. O'Neill in the second. Lily did not like it. Drifts way right on him. What the hell was that?
All right, let's take a look at the rangefinder down the lane. Remember his first frame, he went just a pinch high. You can see just how far right. That ball at the 6.5 board, and no chance of recovery.
And an open frame for O'Neill.
Boy, if you're Mike Scroggins, this is exactly what the doctor ordered, because, again, trying to fight the nerves and the adrenaline of just coming on bowling for a major championship, trying to defend a U.S. Open, all of a sudden he gets a full tank of oxygen, courtesy of Bill O'Neill's open frame in the second.
We talked about that. The #1 seed has lost the last 4 title matches here at the U.S. Open. #2 seed. Good success here against O'Neill in an early hole. And gets his first strike with his title match.
And that shot from O'Neill right over the 10th board at the 40-foot mark.
On a game, on a game.
Again, so crucial to get the ball at the proper spot down the lane, no matter what angle you're playing. There you go. There's your reference point. And that is perfect.
And you heard O'Neill say a lot of game, a lot of game. That's the attitude you need at the U.S. Open. Don't panic over one frame. Double wood for Scroggy.
Wide left. Lucky to only leave the 3-9. And what was the one comment that Mike Scroggins made to us last night, Rob, when he missed wide of target, when he missed left? He had no chance of getting to the pocket.
Scroggins remains clean. We asked him about the potential to win back-to-back U.S. Open titles, and he said, look, you don't even dream about things like that. You know, it's well above my expectations and most people's expectations. We begin the 4th. Scroggins up by Baker's dozen.
You see Mike Scroggins wearing that black wristband. I don't remember any exempt player out on our tour that still wears a wristband. It works for Mike Scroggins. It keeps his wrist from cupping and uncupping, part of the reason why he doesn't have a very high rev rate. But, man, does it work for him. Keeps that wrist in a nice, solid position. Not a lot of movement going on there. All he has to do is get it into the swing at the right time, keep his eyes on his target.
O'Neal now finding a rhythm with back-to-back jacks. Time to fire up the RV. Next week, we are in the capital of Ohio, Columbus. Sequoia Pro Bowl for the Atonic Don Johnson Eliminator. Chris Barnes, your defending champion. Live coverage at 2 Eastern. That's a special start time next Sunday. Again, live PBA action, 2 Eastern next Sunday. A week off, and then we're in Connecticut, the Norwich Bowling and Entertainment Center for the Go RVing Match Play Championship, kind of mirroring the March Madness activities in NCAA hoops. We begin the 5th. Here comes Billy O.
You heard Billy O'Neal say when he opened in the second frame, a lot of game left. He's right. Just took the lead, throwing that 3-bagger right there. Now Mike Scroggins working on a strike in the 4th, looking to take back that lead.
And looking for his first pair of strikes here in the title match. And again leaves double wood.
Same leave, same shot.
Same lane.
Same lane. 2 shots in a row on that right lane. He has missed wide of target. No chance of getting that ball to the pocket. He's got to tighten it up, make good shots on that right lane. But right now faced with another difficult double wood spare.
Scroggins was 2-0 versus O'Neal this week in match play. This is his 5th top 10 finish of the season. Down 7 as he closes out the 5th. And again, chops down the double wood. The good news for Scroggins, he's moving over to that left lane where both of his efforts have been strikes so far. Very respectful bowling crowd here in Indianapolis. I mean, this place is as quiet as it can get. Almost left the double wood again.
And, you know, very unusual what's going on right now with Mike Scroggins. For a guy that likes to keep his target in front of him and not swing the ball, he knows coming in he can't swing the ball. The last 3 out of 4 shots have all been wide left of target.
Which means he needs to do what?
He has to tighten it up. Maybe move his target aboard right. But right now, where he's standing and where he's looking is not matching up. Generally, when you keep missing wide, move that target inside a board or 2. That'll tighten up that angle.
The good news for the defending champ is he remains clean, down just 8. But here is O'Neal working on a 3-bagger. And Scroggins retrieving that ball, and he's going to do some doctoring.
Mike's going to tape up. Bill O'Neal's taking a re-rack on the right lane. Taking his time, wanting to make sure everything's perfect.
He's got to go again, or is it good?
Mike Scroggins is snugging up. Looks like he's going to snug up that thumb hole.
For O'Neal, as Scroggins continues to do some work. O'Neal, this is his 6th top 5 finish and 3rd in a major. 3rd at the PBA World Championships, 5th at the Masters.
Boy, just a great touch, but that shot there, he got it just a pinch wide of target, but he threw it so good at the right speed, it actually had a chance to bite the lane and make it back. Watch this touch. Exact pin carry that he was looking for. Hit him thin and watch him spin.
He struggled early in this one, Randy. A 9 spare in the 1st, an open frame in the 2nd. Since then, a 4-bagger. Looking to make it 5 as we begin the 7th.
Oh, baby. Out. Drops the nickel. Momentum in the O'Neal corner.
Boy, that's a beautiful feeling, too. You feel it off your hand. You see the direction it's going in. You know it's heading right for the pocket, and all 10 go down.
Time for Scroggins to match. He has yet to record a double this game, working off a spare in the 7th. And his first strike on the right lane. Good news for Team Scroggins.
Finally got it tightened up. The last couple of shots have been around the 8.5 to 9 board. That one right there, 11 at the 40-foot mark. And all 10 in the pit. Mike Scroggins right now in his mind thinking, well, looks like it's striking out time to have any chance of winning this U.S. Open.
Can max out at 239.
Right, Bill O'Neal in the 220s right now, but Bill O'Neal can max out a lot higher than 239.
Seven, 10. That may have sealed the deal.
Yeah, talk about just gift wrapping a U.S. Open title. Mike Scroggins, and just what a horrible break. Bill O'Neal still has a possible 267. Mike Scroggins needed to strike out to get into the 230s. And an awful time for that to happen. Bill O'Neal now just cruise control, keep it in play, keep the pocket in front of you, and fill frames.
The real deal, Bill O'Neal. Had so many opportunities last season to get that first career tour title. He did it early this year in September, winning the Chameleon Championship. Now on the verge of winning his first major in the same season and moving up to the top of the Player of the Year list.
Why not? Crack open a sixer for me.
You know, I remember going up and congratulating Bill O'Neal in 2005 at Carolier Lanes when he finished 6th at the U.S. Open. I watched him bowl then, and I said, you know, this kid's got a lot of talent. He's going to be a star out on the PBA Tour someday. And sure enough, 5 years later, he's winning the United States Open.
And O'Neal and Scroggins have a little bit of history together as doubles partners if you go back 3 years.
7 in a row for O'Neal. That's right.
Well, it just doesn't get any better, does it?
Scroggins in the 9th drops the rack himself, and Scroggins was a partner with O'Neal 3 years ago in a doubles event. They made it to the semifinals, and Scroggins left the 3-6-7 split. And O'Neal was telling us last night that Scroggins apologized to him for about a year. You know, every time I saw him, I'm sorry about that. You know, I mean, Scroggins really wanted to help O'Neal win that first title, be a part of it, felt guilty, and was so happy when O'Neal finally won his first title in September. It tells you a lot about the character of Mike Scroggins.
Yeah, it really does. Mike's a great guy and really well respected out here. I mean, if he's staying at Mike Alby's house this week. I mean, you don't get to stay at Mike Alby's house unless you're a good guy like Mike Alby. So, I mean, he's just a tremendous guy. And you know, I think that given the fact that he's won the last couple of majors, or his last couple of majors that he's won, the U.S. Open last season, leading this event, I think Mike Scroggins has really turned a lot of heads, and I think he's finally getting the respect that he deserves.
Another strike for Scroggins, saying, where was that to open up this match? Scroggins will move up into a two-way tie for 3rd in the Player of the Year point race. He'll now be tied with Chris Barnes. Bill O'Neal trying to let this one settle in as Scroggins steps up to close out his tournament.
Drop it. Great close for Scroggins. leaves with a 4-bagger and a 207. But this is all about Bill O'Neill. Scroggins had his time in the sun last year at the U.S. Open. Now it's Bill O'Neill's time.
Not too many can say they're U.S. Open champion.
Your best game ever on TV, huh?
Bill O'Neill can.
$60,000 for the winner. A 3-season tour champion.
And another strike for your U.S. Open champ. It's been quite a year for that young man. Yes! Yes!
How about a 10-bagger to close it?
This is for you guys. I love you. Perfect, man. Great bowler. Thank you, Hammer. Jeff Buster, you're the man.
O'Neill closes out the title match by dropping the Bo Derek. There is your U.S. Open champion. And what a year for the young man. Wins his first tour title. Wins his first major. Now on top of the Player of the Year point race. Oh, by the way,
Thank you.
he gets married in May.
Have a night international.
We'll hear from our winner when
right
we
here.
return. Bill O'Neill, 267 to 207. He's your U.S. Open titleist. For the 10th time in 16 title matches that a number 2 seed has moved on to the championship match, it's a number 2 seed winning. Here's Randy with Bill O'Neill.
Rob, we all knew that Bill O'Neill was a show-making machine, and Billy, finally you get that first win at the World Series, and now you win a major. Describe what the season's been like for you.
It's been a roller coaster season because I bowled so bad in some tournaments, but the ones that have been good, they've been really good, and I showed it today.
Now, you know, the U.S. Open isn't known for big scores, and you got off to a little rocky start in the title match, open in the second frame. How in the world did you come back with a 10-bagger?
You know, I just bared down, and then, you know, I just decided to go ahead and stone cure the next 10.
Hey, congratulations. Enjoy your win.
Bill O'Neill with a huge victory. Can he carry that momentum into Columbus, Ohio next week, which is where we will be next Sunday here on ESPN Live at 2 Eastern. Again, a special start time of 2 Eastern for the Atonic Don Johnson Eliminator. Jason Couch, your 4 seed. David Ago, Tommy Jones couldn't take down O'Neill. Nor could Mike Scroggins. Bill O'Neill wins tour title number 2 and his first major, and now he sits on top of the Player of the Year standings. For Randy Peterson and our entire crew, I'm Rob Stone. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. We'll see you next week from Columbus.